Good morning, everybody. We are back. It is another week. We are excited. It is Monday, and it is cold. It is fleeking cold out. And so we are in the process of really doing our best to stay warm. It's snowing in Switzerland.
It is snowing.
The polar vortex is hit here in Virginia, and it is staying around.
And I have my sweater on.
There you do. I have my warm fuzzy on, and I'm trying to balance it and put some tropical warm heat in by having a tropical headband on. trying to get it, trying to call it into existence, right?
Right. Name it and claim it or something.
Yeah, something like that. Oh my gosh.
But we're not going down that path. That's a different video show.
That's right. That's a whole nother show right there. Let me tell you. No, we are working on getting it in, getting some good juju going and all sorts of good stuff. But oh my gosh. So, good morning. How are you?
Well, I'm splendid. And how are you?
I'm good. I'm warm.
I'm warm for my toesies. I do have socks on, but my feet are cold.
There you go. Well, today we're going to be talking about the narcissist and how you, as an HR pro, deal with a narcissist employee, deal with a narcissist boss, and don't turn into a narcissist. And really, how do you deal with this when it impacts you as an employee as well? So it kind of covers a wide range of things.
And how do you spot one? Because this is a big thing, because narcissists, by the time they get to the workforce, they're very experienced in what they call masking. And so the people that they don't want to know have a hard time seeing, oh, how could Jane be so, no, Jane would never do such that thing. She's so nice. You're like, that's Jane's mask, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah. So dealing with a narcissist is really difficult, and it's one of those things that it blows your morale out of the water. It blows other people's morale out of the water, and it can really jack up what's going on in the workplace.
It really can. And I found this statement from an occupational health organization in the UK, and they said narcissists in the workplace principally make others unhappy.
Yes, they do.
And I thought that was very clear. And then they said, often leading to these employees exhibiting healthy worker syndrome, moving their employment to another organization, either because they're unable or unwilling to articulate the problem, or that HR or managers will not listen or act on their deputations. And that is what I see as well. You have one narcissist in the department, and people will leave. Your good employees will leave. And this occupational health group says, because the other employees are unable or unwilling to articulate the problem, or HR managers aren't listening in. And that is really, I thought it was just such a great summary, that narcissists make everybody else unhappy, and HR and management just doesn't want to hear it. They don't want to see it. And that can be really tough.
And you know what? And the thing is that narcissism is not easily spotted. But here's what I recommend we do. Let's give a definition of what a narcissist actually is. So according to the dictionary.com, a narcissist is a person who has an excessive interest or admiration of themselves. And there are traits of a narcissist as well. And, that's for dating. No, we don't want dating.
That's also another show.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. But narcissists aren't necessarily just so there's actually a disorder called narcissistic personality disorder, and it's not just limited to men. I mean, you will see it a lot of men, but it's also there with women too. So
absolutely it is. It absolutely is. And if you go back to the old Greek myth with Narcissus and he thought he was so beautiful or whatever. That's not how narcissism generally manifests itself in the workplace. It's more that they think they're better, they think they're entitled, and they have no problem destroying the careers of others to get what they want.
Yeah.
And that's why it can be so tricky, because this person may be super motivated to get recognition, to get promotions or whatever, but they're not averse to throwing everybody else under the bus in order to get that. And so you as the HR person or as the manager may say, gosh, look at Jane. She's just really done all of this stuff. But then behind the scenes, Jane is stealing work products. She's sabotaging people's stuff. And when they come to you and complain, you're like, well, Jane's our star employee.
Yeah.
And there have been studies that show narcissists tend to rise.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. So two other traits of a narcissist is that they really have a complete disregard for what anybody else feels. And they also have an inability to handle any criticism whatsoever. So if you're starting to see those symptoms, now it may not be the full-blown, disability or disorder, but there are people that behave as narcissists. So, and it was really funny when I was looking up the psychological aspect of it, they confirmed that it was rare, and that is not, I don't think, maybe rare on actual diagnosis, but there are a lot of narcissists out there.
Well, and I think on actual diagnoses, because narcissists think they're awesome, they don't really go to a psychiatrist and say, could you diagnose me with something? Yeah. Because
there's nothing wrong with me, but I just want to, check my dipstick. It doesn't work that way.
Come in, yeah. And, those characteristics, the things that we can see at work, one thing that they'll do is deflect blame. It's never their fault. It's always someone else's fault. And it can be little things like, why were you were late to work this morning? Oh, well, it's not my fault. There was traffic, blah, blah, blah. Instead of just saying, oh, yeah, sorry, got up late. It's, why didn't you get that report in on time? Well, Brenda didn't send me the data on time. And, there's just always this string of somebody else. And the way I'm saying it doesn't sound very convincing, but a narcissist can often be very, very convincing. And then suddenly the boss is like, Brenda, why didn't you get Suzanne the data? And you're like, what? I did get the data. And unless you're really paying attention as the HR person or as the manager, you're gonna buy the excuse from Jane, the friendly narcissist, and you're not doing that research to be like, well, when did you say you needed the data, and when did it get sent? And you don't call up and can you please tell me from the traffic standpoint, just how busy was it on? You don't do that, but you'll see that these things keep growing. The narcissist is never going to say, oh man, I screwed up.
I love how you say that, Jane, the friendly narcissist. Because you can have friendly narcissists. I had worked in a department one long time ago, and I had 4 of them, and they all ganged up on me. It was terrible.
Yeah. And I'm sure lots of people outside the department thought you were terrible and they were awesome.
Yep. That's exactly what happened. I mean, I wasn't, I had my share of faults too, but I tell you what, man, I tried everything I could to make it right. I tried to be better. I tried and tried and tried. And it was really, really hard. And all I got was constant criticism. And when they made a mistake, it was never a big deal.
And this is something that happens often. And they also need to be the center of attention, and they want to be special or unique. or brilliant.
Yep.
And they want praise, 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 and more praise. And that can be a real suck on the manager. Like, oh, I can't say enough to keep Jane the narcissist happy. And that sometime you can spot a little bit, is like, oh my gosh, this person just needs excessive praise. And that can be a tip to you, if you're trying to spot that. And the other thing that can be, these are things that you can use to spot it. They can't take criticism in any way, deflecting, needing this center of attention status. What else? They're bragging about their accomplishments and how great they are. And they're putting down others. And they can put down others in a very nice way.
Yep.
One example of something that narcissists tend to do is try to get into a position of trust with you because you've got power. I mean, we often talk about how HR doesn't necessarily have power, but let's face it, we are.
You can have a manager that's doing the same thing.
Manager doing the same thing, and so they'll come and tell you things that are negative about you. Oh, I heard that, so-and-so told me that you were blah, blah, blah. And their goal there is to get you to be like, oh, you're the one person that I can trust. These people are talking behind my back, but this person is always going to tell me the truth. And so you're like, oh, okay, this is who I can trust. But what the narcissist is really doing is just like roping you in and making you feel like crap because they're telling you all of these terrible things about yourself. Those things might be true and they might be made up.
Yep.
But that's something that they do. And that's also something that you might be able to spot yourself and be like, wait, why are you telling me this? I don't need to know. That those type of things can really be a helpful spotlight for you if you can sit down and say, well, is Jane being a friend in telling me this? Or why is she telling me this?
Yeah.
No?
Nope. I hear you. And, and it'll be done in a very smooth way. They'll come up, they'll act like they're doing you a big favor. And all they're doing is working on getting you into their camp. One of the things that I have always found to be very, very difficult to deal with. I mean, this is probably, there's two things in my career that I have yet to find the answer for. And this is one of them. And this one in particular is that when you have a narcissist or a person who is a top performer, and usually that person is bringing in serious money or is one level deep in something that's extremely sensitive and extremely important, and the company would be at a disadvantage by getting rid of that person. How do you convince the boss that having this person in the organization is not in the company's best interest anymore? And that's a very difficult position to be in because they see the benefit over the cost. And since they're not dealing with that aspect of that person's personality on a regular basis, or they may, but yet it's the benefit still overrides the cost, that's really hard. And the only thing you can do at that point is to just continue to set the expectation with that person, knowing full well that you're probably going to wind up pushing them out the door because you're holding their feet to the fire.
One thing that I have noticed with the narcissist resume is that they tend to have moved up very rapidly, but at different companies. Mm-hmm. You don't see promotions at one company. You see them with 2 or 3 years at a company and then a big jump at the next company and a big jump at the next company, but you never see internal promotions. And I think I mean, never. I'm speaking in generalities, of course. It's one thing that I have noticed, that because narcissists can often be very smooth talkers, they're very good at tooting their own horn, which are skills that go over great in job interviews. But they don't go over as well when you're talking about internal promotions, because internally we know what you're like day to day, and we know when you are sitting there at an internal meeting and being like, yeah, I am the one that led the charge on the SAP implementation, and everyone's sitting on the table is like, no, you weren't. But in a job interview, when you say, I'm the one that did that, and you have all the right vocabulary and you can talk about it, then they're like, wow, that's great, because there's nobody around to be like, actually, you were
You
not.
got that one wrong.
So that's one thing when you're hiring. I'm not saying don't hire people that have changed jobs a lot, because there's tons of reasons for that.
Oh, yeah.
But when all of their growth is external, to me, that's kind of a sign that you need to dig more. Why did you not get promoted in your current job? Why did you not ever get a promotion in one company? Why is every growth step external? And that can be one of those reasons behind there. So when you're looking at that, as I said, I'm not saying just eliminate candidates like that. That would be ridiculous. But it can be something that you might want to dig a little bit. Why did you leave this company? And this is a legitimate interview question of, why are you looking to go externally instead of trying to move your way up in your current company? And, as I said, that's a real overbroad thing. If you're working in a company with 15 people, there may be no place to go. So you got to go out.
I was just going to say the same thing. There may not have been job opportunity, but you're talking about people with short periods of employment getting massive promotions to the next. We're not talking about somebody who hasn't demonstrated periods of longevity. 5, 6, 7 years, 8 years in a position, that's longevity. But when you have somebody who is, running through the career field like a gazelle and bouncing from, promotion, right? Yeah, bad.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that you can spot. And as you said, running through a gazelle, I have my kitty running across the back of my desk, but now she has stopped.
That's okay. Nicole got out.
Pretty narcissistic.
That's all right. Nicole got out this past weekend. Went to a friend's house, lives right on the river, and we were 1 acre, fully fenced in area, solid white dog, and he figured out he could get through the reeds during low tide.
Oh,
and
no.
was literally just jumping through the mud, just having a grand old time. It was hilarious. But anyway, so I said that, and I'm like, oh yeah. Started thinking about that moment. Anyway, back to what we were back to the original program.
Narcissist. And like you were saying, when you start holding someone's feet to the fire, they're not going to like it. And there's a quote that you'll see often about when a narcissist can no longer control you, they will try instead to control how others see you. And this is something that absolutely happens. So if you are like, no, Jane, I have a really good friend named Jane. I should probably stop using that because she's not a narcissist. Anyway, no, Jane, you need to take responsibility for this. Suddenly you're the micromanager, you're the evil HR lady, you can't be trusted, and she'll work to destroy other people's opinions of you. And this is one of those reasons why people frequently quit when they're working with a narcissist, because they know no one's going to believe them in the first place. And to fight that battle often means having the whole company turn against you. It's so much easier to find a new job and move on.
Yeah. It's one of those things where if you're not ahead of it and making sure that your actions speak louder than anything else. And so when you are acting as an honorable person, like in and out, and this is one of the reasons why I tell people, if you say you're going to do something and you're going to follow up with them, you better damn well make sure you do it. And it is hard for anybody who's a narcissist to pull one over on you or to make people believe that you are what they say you are when they have had enough experience with you to know how you operate. And that's one of your, as a professional, that's one of your best defenses against a narcissist is your record. So if you, like, I make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes, but I make specific kinds of mistakes. And I feel really bad for him because I know in my heart that you are only as good as your last engagement in the eyes of, whoever you're working with, right?
Right.
And if you can't get past that, you're never going to be good in the eyes of anybody who's judging you. So when a mistake happens, that always resonates in my head. And that's the reason why I personally don't like making mistakes. However, a narcissist will find a way to use that against you. So you have to have a longer term record of doing things right or doing it the right way or having a very high level of integrity that it is going to be very difficult for a narcissist to actually destroy your reputation.
And this is really important. And this is where documentation can also come into play for you. One thing that I recommend with dealing with narcissists is to have written confirmation of everything. Because a narcissist will have no problem saying one thing to your face and then turning around and saying something else. And while I'm a big believer that face-to-face meetings or Zoom-to-Zoom meetings are necessary from time to time, after you have one of those with the narcissist, then you send a follow-up email that says, hey, Jane, thanks so much for meeting today. Just to reiterate, I'm going to do A, B, and C, and you're going to do D, E, and F. We'll both have them done by Friday and sent over to Steve for whatever. And then always end it with, if this isn't your understanding, let me know. And
9 times out of 10, they won't read that email.
No, they won't read it. But then when they come back and said, you were going to do D, E, and F, you're like, well, then why didn't you say anything? And that can be really helpful. Now, of course, they're going to flip it. Well, I didn't think I needed to read your email because we had a clear understanding in the meeting. But they can only pull that one time.
Right.
And it's really important. And I can tell you, I have dealt with people. I had a fellow HR person in a job I had who had narcissistic tendencies. I'm not willing to say he was a narcissist, but he was constantly the throw people under the bus thing. And so I started doing this, and his real name was John. And so I would just email, because that sounds like a fake name with Jane, but his name really is John, but I don't think that'll identify him. I would start sending those emails. Thanks for the meeting today, John. This is what we discussed. And in this situation, I was in an advisory role to him. And he would always reject my advice. And then when it all fell apart, then he would blame it on me. So I'd be like, I advised you to do A, B, and C. You said you're going to do D, E, and F. I just want to reiterate that I think A, B, and C is the right thing to do. And he stopped throwing me under the bus because he couldn't anymore. He couldn't blame me anymore. And this is why I don't think he was a full-on narcissist. I think he was just a jerk. And there is a difference between being a jerk and a narcissist.
Yes.
Narcissists are jerks, but not all jerks are narcissists. I think he was just a jerk.
No, you can have a nice narcissist.
Yeah. But it worked because he could no longer pull that game on me, where that was what his modus operandi was, is that he would do what he'd want to do, but then if it went poorly, he would blame it on whoever was the closest around. And after that happened to me, once in a really big way. I'm like, we're done. We are done. Do not. Mm-mm. Suzanne does not play that game.
We're not going there. Oh, yeah, I love it. It's a good conversation to have. But, I mean, the thing is that if you don't know how to handle a narcissist, you're going to get wrapped up into a lot of emotional strife. And there's no reason for that. There are things that you can do. And if you need to talk about a narcissist, you know what? We have just the thing that you can jump into. And that is, ta-da!
Oh, wow.
You like that segue? That was pretty good, wasn't it?
That was good. That was good. I thought you were going to say, we're going to have a discussion on narcissism on Clubhouse, but you didn't.
No, I did not go there. Did not go there. But we do have a place where you can come and talk to us about narcissism and the rest of the group and, get recommendations. You can certainly connect with both of us. Would you like to share with them your group?
Sure. This is a lovely Facebook group called Evil HR Lady, and we discuss all things HR, including how to deal with narcissists at work. The group is largely made up of HR professionals, but there's a whole bunch of people that are also just interested in business in general. You can ask your questions. You can ask questions anonymously, and you can get things answered. You can help out other people, and it's a really warm, friendly group, and we have the best HR memes.
That's right. And I have the Next Gen Women in HR Facebook group. They are also an amazing group of people. Suzanne and I actually are in each other's groups, and we do contribute from time to time. And this is a closed group, which means that we've got a couple of questions that we want you to answer before you come in and help us understand what you're looking to accomplish. And, we collect that information and try and put content out there that, will help absolutely support that. In addition to that, we also want to make sure that everybody in the group is in fact focusing on HR. Now, with that being said, we don't have this little flashy thing up here yet that I can put up, but unfortunately, once we get it up, then we'll get it up. But we are also both on Clubhouse, and one of us is a little more active than the other, and that's okay. Some of us are still figuring it out, and that's okay. But we actually, there's also the HR club that is over in Clubhouse. That is an open access to everybody. If you're in Clubhouse, check out HR Club and go ahead and hit follow, and we'll get you in. And then a little something else that will help you, not necessarily with the narcissist piece of it, but I do have copies of the best HR planner on the planet on how to be a focused and compliant action taker, still available over at BrendaTheHRLady.com. Click shop at the top and you can get your copy. It is chock-a-block full of really, really good stuff, because you should have gotten yours now. Did you get yours?
Yes. I've showed it on the program, Brenda.
I know, I forgot. I wasn't being a narcissist. I was being a total idiot. So there's a significant difference. Just saying.
Maybe that'll be our show next week, dealing with the total idiot.
That's that. And she can go right there.
And Brenda can go like that too. Ooh, I got it first time.
That's me. I have my moments. Oh my God.
have mine too, and heaven knows we've done stupid things in the past.
Well, I just put it right out there, and what happens in our show stays on YouTube.
That's right.
Oh my gosh. So we're going to go ahead and flash up. But look, guys, this is how you can get a hold of us in our social sites. Go ahead and DM us, hit us up, let us know what's going on. And again, you can find us over in Clubhouse as well. They don't have a cute little icon for it, so we can't pop up the icon, but that's all right. And we are excited that you guys have joined us again. And
we'll see you next week.
That's right. We will. Have a good one, folks.
Bye.
Bye.